Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's presentation. As we start to filter in, please make sure you're reading the chat. There's some good information in there for you. And I will share it a couple times because I know as people come in, it deletes and all the fun stuff there. So, welcome to today's presentation. My name is Abby Mars. I'm an educational support coach and a Charting the Life Course ambassador, and work here at Family Matters PTIC. So, as we know, the contents of these documents today were developed under a grant from the U.S. Department of Education. However, the contents don't necessarily represent the policies of the U.S. Department of Education. So, keep that in mind. We are a federally funded organization, so participations and presentations like today are very helpful for us to know that our content that we're putting out is good. So, make sure that you are taking your survey at the end of this presentation. Family Matters, of course, is not a legal service. We do not provide legal representation or advice in any way, so no information I share with you should be considered as legal advice. It's simply resources and information to help you advocate for your students better. Family Matters is also unable to offer CEUs. So please remember that as you take today's training. I can, however, offer you a certification of attendance. You can request that via email after the presentation is over today. The webinar is being recorded and the recording will be available on the Family Matters website as well as our YouTube page after the presentation. At this time, we ask that you please use the chat box and state your name and title or your organization that you're affiliated with. So I would put Abby Mars, Family Matters, or Abby Mars, parent. Um, you can use the Q&A box for questions. Since this is a 30-minute message, we will try our best to get to those questions before the end of our time. So just keep that in mind. And don't forget about the survey following the presentation. And a copy of the presentation will be emailed out after the presentation, as well as the slides. And I have put a link in the chat for you that gives you access to the slides if you'd like to follow along. So we are very fortunate in the state of Illinois to have two parent training and information centers. PTIs are federally funded organizations that provide free support, training, and information to families of children with disabilities. These centers are authorized under IDEA, or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, to help parents understand and navigate the special education process. So PTI serve families of children from ages birth to 26 and offer assistance in a variety of formats, including workshops, one-to-one consultations, and other online resources. So today we are going to learn a little about understanding extended school year services, or ESY, with a Charting the Life Course approach. Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to focus on extended school year services. We'll explore how ESY is determined, how it's provided under IDEA, or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and Illinois School Code, and how we can use the Charting Life Course framework to make these decisions meaningful and aligned with the student's future goals. Like we talked about, here's some of the objectives that we will look into today. So very first, let's talk about what is ESY, or Extended School Year Services. So if you've sat in an IEP meeting before, you've probably heard this term. It should be discussed at every single IEP meeting you have for your student. A lot of the times it is referred to as ESY. Sometimes it will be told to you as Extended School Year Services. ESY is not the same as summer school. It is a continuum of services a student needs to prevent regression of critical skills during long breaks. These services are determined by the IEP team and are based on the individual needs of the student, not based on a diagnosis or a label. ESY ensures students receive a free and appropriate public education year-round when it's necessary. There is some legal foundation to ESY. Both federal and state law support ESY. According to IDEA, extended school years must be available when necessary to provide a free and appropriate public education. Illinois further clarifies this, that the decision must be made individually and based on data. schools cannot limit ESY based on the type or severity of a disability. So what that means is if the data shows your student needs ESY, your school can't say, well, we only offer ESY to kids with autism, or we only offer ESY to kids with significant support needs. If the data supports your student's need for ESY, it should be discussed at the IEP. And of course, then all of the considerations go into place. If the school makes a decision that you don't think is appropriate for your student, you have your rights to dispute resolution at that time. Charting the Life Course is a planning tool that helps families and students think about what they want in life and how education and supports like extended school year services can help them get there. We will use the principles today to frame our decision about ESY and how it can support a child's trajectory towards an inclusive, meaningful life. So, Charting the Life Course is a person centered planning tool. Carrie, the other educational support coach that works here at Family Matters, and Megan, our executive director, are all Charting the Life Course ambassadors. We will be traveling next week to a conference and all become Charting the Life Course facilitators. So it's a program that we are very invested in, and it helps our students shape their plan for their life, basically. So let's talk a little bit about who would be eligible for ESY. So this only applies to students who we have identified as needing specialized instruction. So they have an IEP in place. The eligibility is based on whether the student is likely to lose skills and not regain them in a reasonable time without extended school year services. Emerging skills are important too. If a student is just about to master a new skill, losing that momentum over a summer or extended break could be harmful. Critical transitions like moving from middle to high school may also support the need for extended school year services. So, if your student got a brand new communication device in February, and we are starting to see with using that communication device, lots of emerging skills are happening. The behavior may be getting better. He's able to advocate for what he wants. If we stop that speech services for that break of the summer, your student could regress those skills. Even though we haven't collected a lot of data on that yet, we could see that without these services, the emerging skills that the students has may not be there. So this is a great time to talk about the need for ESY over the summer. We also track our data. So as parents, as professionals, we all know that our students are receiving progress reports sent home or report cards sent home. And on those report cards, there's data there about the goals that they're working on. This is where you as a caregiver or parent, or even you as a self advocate, need to watch the progress on those goals. If you noticed after fall break, after Christmas break or winter break, after spring break, there's like a dip in the progress of those goals towards to mastering those goals, this is a perfect time to talk about the need for extended school year services. You would do that in an IEP meeting. You could wait for your annual one, or you could call a one right after spring break and say, okay, this is what I saw. This is what we're struggling with. I think we need to talk about the need for extended school year services. So regression, like I said, is one of the main reasons that we want ESY to be in place. This is a most common factor. It's one you're going to hear about the most. Regression refers to the loss of a previously learned skill. Recruitment is the time it takes to relearn those skills once school resumes. So if we are doing really really good, we're at 70% on the way to mastering our goal in May, and then school breaks. Okay, we come back in the fall, and now we're back down to 30% because it's taking a long time to recoup those skills that we learned. So this is also a great time to talk about the need for extended school year services. So let's talk a little bit about beyond regression and functional and life skills. So functional skills are often just as critical as those academic skills, if not more so. ESY can be used to maintain or develop skills related to daily living, self regulation, or social engagement, especially if these skills support long term independence and participation. So let's revert back to our Charting the Life course framework. If my student is in kindergarten and would really, really like to have more friends and more social time, and we talk about this all year long, we talk about, maybe putting goals in place, social skills classes for my student, Long term, making more friends in kindergarten is going to make for better relationships on the exit of high school 100 years down the road. So making sure we're making those goals and putting those in place is crucial for our student. So if we still see that over the summer he's going to lose a lot of that recruitment, it's a good idea to talk about ESY. All right. So just keep that in mind. So ESY should be discussed in every IEP meeting. It usually comes towards the end of the IEP. It's a check mark. If you're using like the Embrace system, CPS or Chicago Public Schools, their IEPs are laid out just a little bit different, but I promise you it is there. So you talk about the need for extended school year services. Don't just let this be a check mark that the school says, nope, we don't need to do that. Talk about it. Talk about it right then. Talk about, okay, we just talked about the progress towards Michael's goals. Let's talk about now how that progress might look different if he did ESY. So make sure that you're making a point to talk about ESY and what type of program might be helpful for your student. You may determine then by having that discussion that ESY is not appropriate for your kiddo, but it's not a one size fits all approach. Keep that in mind as well. Um, the team should consider all the data and all the progress, and you have the right to ask for ESY and ask if that data determines the need for ESY. There's nothing wrong with asking for that. And like I said, ESY is not a one size fits all approach. ESY can look different for whatever the student's needs may be. For example, my kiddo that has dysgraphia, he's really, really working on those reading and comprehension goals last year. And he was getting some really good progress. And I was worried over the summer that he would regress. And when we came back in the fall, which was brand new to high school, he was really going to struggle. So, as an approach to ESY, I asked my district if my son could have access to his IXL platform over the summer and that we could ask that he do 20 minutes a day IXL. So, if you don't know what IXL is, it's an online learning portal. It's a design to help students reach their goals based on their present levels. And so, all I was asking the district to do then is provide him access to that over the summer. And then I was taking the responsibility of checking in to make sure he did that every day. And then the IXL program was reporting that data back to the special education coordinator who worked all summer. So this was not an inconvenience for anybody. It is very, individualized for your student. So what you think your student needs, if the data supports that, you need to have these discussions about ESY. Let's talk about ESY versus summer school. It's important to understand the difference. Extended school year service is part of the IEP and is a legal obligation for the school to discuss. Summer school is typically a district offering that may be open to all students and may involve some type of a fee. ESY is individualized and must be addressed at the IEP meeting. Okay, so different districts may offer different types of summer school. Summer school is separate than the ESY program. And I do have students that do both for whatever reason, if that's what they need. But ESY is tailored to meet the needs that are addressed in their IEP goals. Summer school may be a completely different type of program in your school district. Some schools call this a summer bridge program. So you may have heard this term summer bridge school. And Illinois school districts are not required by law to offer a summer bridge program to students at risk of retention. However, before a student is retained, the Illinois School Code encourages students to use interventions such as summer school, tutoring, or academic support to help students succeed. So, a lot of times we'll see some type of summer bridge program offered to students who are at risk of being retained or being held back. ESY is different. ESY is offered to students who the data supports they will regress or lose that emerging skill over the extended break of school over those 3 months. Summer school is different. Summer school is usually offered to students who are at risk of being retained. It doesn't have to look like typical school. It could look like a certain thing for students. Students don't have to do summer school, okay? Even if they're going to be retained, if the parent says, no, I don't want to do summer school, that's fine. ESY is different. Although ESY is voluntary, the parent can say, no, I don't want to do ESY. It has to be offered to students who the data supports needs those supports. That didn't make sense. It has to be offered to the students that need those supports because that's what the data says. Let's talk a little bit about what ESY can include. So ESY, like we said before, is not like a one-size-fits-all approach. ESY can be delivered in a variety of formats depending on the student's needs. It might involve direct instruction. therapies, or support in community settings. Services might be in the home, virtual, or a small group setting depending on the district. I know just from working with all the districts that I do in the state that different districts offer different types of ESY programs. But what it has to do, can't just say that we're going to do ESY for half an hour every day for a student that needs it. It has to be tailored to that student's needs. So that half an hour that the students are there is tailored to their needs. It's tailored to what the data supports. So it might be working on some vocational skills. It might be doing speech services, and there might be several school students there that utilize the speech services at ESY. But what's important to remember is that it's tailored to the student's need. It's not just a one size fits all approach. Like, for example, bigger therapeutic day schools, they offer a big ESY program. Most of the students that go to that school, the data would support, if not all of the students, the data would support the need for ESY. They're high support needs students. So it's going to look like from the outside that they go to school all year round. But I can tell you the summer programs look different than the regular school year programs. But what about the role of my family in ESY? So parents are the experts in their children and can show how skills change during breaks. They can talk about regression and that happens at home and advocate for services that support both current learning and long-term independence. The Charting the Life Course tools can help articulate these goals. So parents could provide those valuable inputs. They can use data and real life observation and communication goals that align with a long term outcome. So there's tools on our website where you could fill out your long term trajectory for your student. Maybe you want your son to master using his speech device by the time he's 15, or maybe you want him to master getting his driver's license, whatever it is. And you can use these tools to help, what supports can we get to direct him to where he needs to be. Those are available on our website, or that's something Carrie and I can help you with as well. Talk about advocating for ESY, keep records, videos, work samples, and communication logs. If you notice skills being lost over weekends or winter breaks, document it. This helps make a strong case. You can also request a progress monitoring system that includes regression tracking. So maybe you meet this year for your IEP and you would like ESY and the data just doesn't support that. You can ask then going into next year, maybe the progress monitoring system that we use includes regression tracking. So then next year you can approach the need for ESY. Talk about some common myths. So myth, ESY is only for academics. That is false. ESY can include functional, social, and vocational skills. Myth two, ESY is only for severe disabilities. Again, any student at risk of regression may qualify for ESY. These misconceptions often keep families from asking about ESYs. Be informed and challenge misinformation with facts from IDEA and state code. If you have questions, reach out to your parent center. That's what we're here for, both Family Matters and FRCD. So let's talk about some examples of ESY services in Illinois. So scenario one, a student with autism receiving summer social skills and training. That's an example of how ESY might be executed. So this student must have some type of social skills goal. And we've noticed a little bit of a regression over summer. He probably has limited social interactions over the summer for whatever reason, or maybe not limited, but look different than what the school day does. So we could talk as a team about that social skills training being delivered over summer and what that might look like. Number two, a student with cerebral palsy continues to receive occupational therapy services to prevent regression. This data would support that the student needed that continued support of OT so he can function more independently in the school setting. So we would talk about how his minutes could be delivered over the summer. Transition planning, my favorite part. For transition age students, ESY can help maintain job skills, practice transportation, or receive support in a learning self advocacy. These are essential for post-secondary success and independence. So ESY could be crucial to the transition planning. I have seen this executed where a student is in some type of workforce plan that their school has created, and then they would still continue to work over the summer, even maybe with increased support, like maybe the teacher monitors or has more hours than what they did before. ESY would continue in this setting as long as it's a school-made program. So keep that in mind. What about funding resources? What do I do if my school says they don't have the money to pay for ESY? Schools are required to provide it if the IEP team determines it necessary. There should be no cost to families. Services should not be limited based on availability of funds or staffing. So if your student needs the support of a one-on-one aide and the school says we cannot provide you that over ESY services, we got to talk about that. We need to get that in writing and go to the next steps. The same way about transportation. Okay, we should talk about transportation. If my student needs specialized transportation to utilize school services, those should carry over to ESY and what that might look like. How do I request ESY? Call an IEP meeting. Okay, sit down, write a letter, call a meeting to talk about the support for it. Gather that data and document it in the meantime. Okay, and discuss the goals and services. So this is Johnny's goal. This is how his service is being delivered. This is what the data says. I see regression on after these breaks. How can we give him the supports he needs over the summer so the regression doesn't happen? And just like any other part of the IEP, if the school refuses to provide ESY, you do have the right as a parent or caregiver to dispute resolution. Dispute resolution options under IDEA include formal resolution, mediation, filing a complaint, or going to due process. PTIs like Family Matters Parent Training and Information Center or FRCD can help navigate the options available to you. So we could provide you resources, help you understand what each one of these processes look like, and even refer you to other agencies if you need further support. Key takeaways from today. ESY is an entitlement under IDEA. Decisions must be individualized, and by using the framework from Charting the Life course, we could traject to a long term planning and make sure those goals happen. ESY is not a privilege, it's a right of the student if he needs it. Align ESY services with long term goals and advocate using data and vision planning. Some resources I want to share with you today are listed here. Again, you get a copy of this presentation emailed to you after so you can click on all the fun things. I encourage you highly, highly, highly to take the survey. You can use this QR code, or upon exit of this training, you can follow the prompts given to you by Zoom. But I ask that you please take this survey. Let us know how we did with today's presentation. Let us know more, more things you want to learn about, and how we can help you in the future. At this time, I'm going to stop the recording so I can take questions. Thank you very much for attending today's presentation.